Is it called pecan or pecan? Well, it depends on how you use it. I asked our crew here, and we got some different answers. Here's the real question, though. After you're done with that pecan or pecan, you throw away the shell, and then what else? Is there anything else you can do with it? Well, there is a group of people who have found a way to repurpose these shells in an environmentally friendly way of creating more materials. We want to bring in Dr. Raha Saremi with Equatex, who you developed this system to turn pecan shells into leathers and fabrics that we can actually use for materials. So exciting. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to learn more about this.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, so this was something that was spun out of research at the University of Georgia. Now Equatex and all of the research that you are doing has come into producing this material. Tell me a little bit about just kind of where the idea came from.
Yes, I have seen so many farmers, shellers, and processors treating agricultural byproducts as waste. And that's why and also I have a background in material science. I have a PhD in material science. That's why I focus my research on valorization of agricultural byproducts instead of discarding them, burning them, or using them for low value applications. So we turn them into advanced materials, into ingredients, formulations, and coatings for manufacturers and converters. Instead of using petroleum-based chemicals, they can use our inputs to make leather, fibers, textiles, composites, and other materials for industrial application.
Now, I know that this is probably a loaded question, but how does that work? How do you go from pecan shell to, and I know you have a sample. Is this a leather sample?
Yes, so this is made of peanut shell.
Oh, peanuts.
Georgia's peanut, and this is made of Georgia's pecan.
Can I try?
Yeah,
oh, wow,
sure.
Look at this. Oh, wow. And this is like a leather.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's a leather alternative or synthetic leather.
A leather alternative, so you don't have to kill a cow.
Yeah.
You use the shells of pecans
that's
or
correct.
peanuts. So how do you get from a peanut shell to, I mean, this is really nice quality too. This is great.
Thank you. So agricultural byproducts, they usually have useful natural polymers. So what we do is we separate them and upgrade them into materials that we can use for making leather, fibers, other advanced materials, composites, and there are so many applications for them, for furnishing, interior, non-woven, even we can use fibers made of pecan and peanuts. We call them nut fiber or nut leather, so they can use that to make masks, gowns for medical applications too. Basically, we give agricultural waste another life, and another advantage of our product is at the end of life cycle, we can recycle them because it's gonna naturally biodegrade. Eventually, it's not gonna stay on Earth forever. So basically, it's a closed loop system, and we give them another life. So,
and also like an alternative to the plastics leathers that
Exactly.
just go into the ground and then just, they don't,
Yes.
I mean, it takes a very, very long time for those to
Yes.
break down.
So material industry, they face rising costs, supply chain disruptions, and new regulations every day. And fashion industry also, they have several problems with microplastic, with synthetic fibers, waste, and so we can solve all of them and also give value and life to agricultural waste, basically solving farmers and shellers' problem too, because right now they either discard them, burn them, or use them for low value applications.
Now, does it cost a lot to do that process?
It does not cost a lot because the majority of the stuff that we use are waste, and we also use like minimal chemistry, safer chemistry, and we are not using any kind of expensive enzymatic treatment or microbial fermentation or anything like that. That's why we can keep the costs low and compete with traditional materials.
And we know that Georgia has such a big agriculture industry. I mean, I believe it is our #1 industry in the state. How does that impact your business and just the potential for creating more of these?
Yes, so Georgia is one of the top producers of, for example, pecans and peanuts. So we can turn that waste into materials for U.S. manufacturers. It's gonna be good for agriculture, for farmers and shellers, as well as for U.S. manufacturing, because they don't need to rely only on petroleum-based chemicals. So there are so many problems with that. Petroleum or oil changes, price changes all the time, and this way the feedstock is available here in the U.S., made out of agricultural waste here in the U.S.
And I know that you said that there's a goal, right, to have more of these materials in the manufacturers and the vendors. What does that look like, that communication, getting them from using whatever they already use, convincing them, hey, this is better for you, let's use this instead of what you're using? And when could we see, kind of widespread use of it, when I could just go in the store and purchase something that's made of pecan?
Sure. Yeah, so to answer your second question, we are still not on store shelves yet, but recently we have received a grant, our phase 2 EPA SBIR grant, and we are moving from bench scale to pilot scale and larger scale manufacturing. So we are moving toward that direction. So pretty soon you can buy not leather or not fiber bag, jackets, or another piece of clothing. But to answer your first questions, there are so many markets that we can enter into, and also there are so many applications such as fashion, textiles, medical, packaging specifically for food. They are looking for safer, materials, safer chemistry, and there is a huge market for materials like us. Right now, we have seen difficulty for many manufacturers to get their feedstock because of the problem with petroleum, feedstock and materials. That's why we see an opportunity to turn agricultural waste here in the U.S. to feedstock and raw materials for manufacturers. So there is a huge market for materials like us.
I love that. What is still needed? Is there any pushback from the industry?
So yes, that's why we pivot from making finished fibers, yarns, and leather, synthetic leather, into making ingredients and raw materials for manufacturers and converters, because they have been, using the same method and same materials for decades and decades. Changes always are more difficult, but because our ingredients can be used in existing manufacturing infrastructure, so we don't need specific type of equipment to use our materials and coatings on them. That's why we pivot from making finished products into just selling ingredients to other established companies, manufacturers, and converters, and that way we can get into the market faster, and we don't require huge capital doing so.
Yeah. No, I mean, it totally makes sense, because it is always, when you say, don't fix what's not broken, a lot of the companies, like you said, for decades and decades, are finding that way for you all to get in, which I also think those who are plant-based and don't want to see animals dying for just leather goods or for any other materials that are harvested, the fact that you're able to use raw materials that are going to be thrown out anyway and use it, I think it's cool. I think it's awesome. Is there anything else that you'd like people to know before we wrap up today?
Yeah, so agricultural waste, that's the point. It's not waste. Like agricultural byproducts can be used to make a lot of valuable stuff, and we are turning them into advanced materials for manufacturing. So follow our story. Our website is ecoatex.com, and we are always looking for collaborations and partnerships.
There you go, ecoadex.com. We're going to be putting this full interview at 11alive.com too, so you all can share it if you want to collaborate, if you want to partner. Thank you so much for coming in. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, and really great stuff. I love that. I'm like, let me order a bag right now.